Hi, friends. Welcome to Vortex and Alchemy. My name is Heather, and today we're going to do a reading specifically for Pisces and Pisces placements. First, I want to welcome everybody new and also everybody who has subscribed to my channel. I know a lot of you are actually just friends, but I appreciate it. And if you don't know me personally, you are also my friend. So thank you for sharing your energy with me. Again, the purpose of this channel is to basically hold space for all the other light workers and empaths and all the people who are trying to raise the vibration of the planet right now. We're all going through a lot trying to hold this higher frequency. So I'm basically wanting to create this channel to put out some messages and to hold space for you as you're going through your own journey of healing and also integrating a lot of these high frequency energies. So as I said, or maybe I said, we're going to be doing a reading specifically for Pisces and Pisces placements. Now, I know a lot of tarot readers do readings based on astrological signs. I love astrology. It is not, I am by no means an astrologer. It is very interesting to me and I love to read a lot about it, but I am definitely not an expert in any means. What I will say is my only trepidation about it is technically we kind of have all the signs in our charts. So I would love feedback from anyone that's following me or anyone that's interested. My idea was to maybe do just the seasonal readings. So obviously we're in Pisces season right now. Today's also my birthday. So I wanted to do a Pisces reading, not just for me, but for all my other fellow fishies that are out there. But also anyone who finds this message, I truly do believe there will be something in here for you. Also, if you know your natal chart and you know where you have Pisces in your chart, make sure you understand what the house is for that, because this message could be, applicable to that in your chart. If you don't have any of that and you're not really familiar with astrology, and you want to be, there are lots of websites out there where you can get your natal chart for free. Cafeastrology.com is one that's pretty easy to use. And as long as you know your birth date, day, or time and location, you'll get your full chart. If you don't have your time, that's okay too. You'll still get a pretty good understanding of your chart. What will be off are going to be all of the degree points and probably rising sign and possibly the moon sign. Anything that moves really fast in the sky could be slightly off. But that's a good place to start when you're kind of starting to look at your natal chart. So again, if you guys are interested in me maybe doing a seasonal read, like next one would be Aries, then I might be able to do this by season. Otherwise, if you really want me to do a breakdown where I go through all 12 zodiacs and do readings for each zodiac sign, that is something I could be very interested in doing. I just kind of want to see and make sure that there are people that are interested in that. Also, please forgive if you can hear my dog. She has a cone on right now, a cone of shame. So every time she shakes, I feel like you can hear that. So anyway, I went ahead and actually pulled some cards to kind of get this conversation going. I want to see, we're kind of going to do a year ahead or what to maybe focus on as you go into this next year. And obviously, depending on where you have Pisces in your chart, this could be applicable to that area. Otherwise, this could just be applicable to you as a human. So let's see where we are and what themes we have going. We got learn to ride the waves of life. When faced with difficult times, you can either fight against the current or go with it. So ask yourself, what is to be gained by depleting your energy, fighting against it? Don't do that to yourself. That's an interesting one for Pisces, since for the most part, we really do try to go with the flow. We also got, if you pay close attention, you will notice all the doors that once closed are opening up, just in different form. Things may not appear exactly as you had envisioned. So, interesting. We also got get grounded. Oh, this is a big one for Pisces. Empaths, highly sensitives, connect with nature. So this is definitely going to be a reminder in this next year. Again, as we kind of traverse these really high frequencies that are coming in and we're trying to hold that space, it is really easy for us to go off into la la land. And Pisces are already known for diving deep into our imaginations and pretty much having a secondary life that exists in our head. But I think it actually is going to be a little more intense as we get into this next year, just because the energies are getting so intense. Like, I don't know another word to say. I think, like, as we're trying to integrate these energies, we're going through maybe some very big like ups and downs, and that doesn't necessarily mean like emotionally, although it can be. It feels more just like you have a spike of energy and you are doing a bunch of things, and then you have a huge lull where you're really tired, or feeling exhausted. So for the Moonology card, we got your dreams need a practical plan, full moon in Taurus. So again, we have an earth sign, and then we got the get grounded. So there is a little bit of us needing to really focus on grounding ourselves to be able to make these choices that are coming in for us too. So this, like, you will notice all the doors that once closed are opening up. I think this is kind of preparation for kind of like the calm before the storm. And obviously there's a storm constantly, like we're constantly living in chaos. So it just feels like for you personally and where you're like heading in your space and in your life, there is a lot of wishes that you've put out, right? There's a lot of manifestations that you've put out into the realm. There's a lot of wants and needs that you've put out, and nothing has maybe come back, or you've had these like small glimmers that have been coming in of some of your deepest wishes or wants. And some of them might even be like some of the smaller ones that are starting to kind of come in. I think it's a little bit of divine timing or timing, where the reason why it may feel delayed, or it may feel like you've been waiting for some things or something for a very long time. The purpose is because you have to be in the right energy or frequency to receive it. The last card we got was empathy, and this is with rose quartz and Venus, which Venus is in Pisces right now, which is why we're all feeling it. We're all feeling a whole lot. Once Mars moves into Pisces, which I think is in a couple days, yeah, it's going to be a lot. It's not a bad thing, right? I think Pisces gets a bad rap all the time because they're constantly saying how, we're not just not grounded, but we also are constantly living in a fantasy land. We also can disassociate, especially when our emotions can become overwhelming. To me, like, this feels like this collective, again, has been working very hard on not only understanding their emotions, being able to also integrate what they're feeling and identify what they're feeling. You may have had a lifetime of feeling very big feelings all the time, and also not knowing or understanding all of them all the time. I feel like Pisces, Pisces has 1,001 emotions, and they can identify every single one of them. Whereas there are a lot of other signs that maybe have a spectrum of 10 or 20, all of the basics. With Pisces, we have emotions in between emotions. So I feel like you may have been having a hard time kind of balancing out a lot of what that was. And it actually isn't because you are feeling too many of your own emotions. Part of the challenge of Pisces, especially being at the very end of the zodiac, there's a lot of belief around each incarnation that we have, we're moving through the zodiac. So once you get to Pisces, you've been all the other signs. It's why Pisces can also adapt in every situation with every type of person. And it's why we also have the ability to have such big room for compassion, but also understanding. And this is also why, Pisces can be known as doormats, because they will put up with a lot from people because we have the ability to empathize with whoever and whatever the situation is. So it looks like we're kind of heading in this space of, you've got things coming in. I keep saying we to you, but I'm a Pisces too. So hopefully that doesn't drive you crazy. I will say there's a lot coming down the pipeline for you. And these are things I think that you maybe have given up on. Some of these things may have come to a closure or come to an end a while ago, or just like never got off the ground. And so you may have started to just finally let that go. And of course, that's what they say, right? As soon as you stop wanting it, or as soon as you stop looking for it, that's when it shows up. I think one of the biggest lessons that you've had in more recent years is the understanding that a lot of the emotions that you are experiencing or feeling are not yours. So this getting grounded and your dreams need a practical plan. I mean, empathy being the card that came out for Pisces is hilarious, which I don't even know if you can see this. Nope. Let's put that here. Learning curve. Okay. So I think like one of the biggest lessons that you've been learning is that a lot of energy that you've experienced in your life has not been your energy. And the biggest thing with that is once you realize that, you're able to transmute it much faster. A trick that my mom taught me when I was really young was to ask, if you start to feel overwhelmed, like let's say you're just having a fun, like your day is fine, everything is going just fine, and then all of a sudden you have a spike in emotion, negative, positive, doesn't matter. The easiest way to understand if an energy is yours or not is to ask yourself, is this energy mine? And I always would get a clear answer from my higher self or my internal, voice in my head. And it's 99.9% of the time I would get a resounding no, especially when it's like I was fine and then all of a sudden I had a spike of anxiety. Or just, something that felt uncomfortable. So once you identify something as not being your energy, then I usually will work with my guides or my higher self. And again, depending on your belief system, whatever you talk to or use as your connecting point to the ether, to the universe, ask them for help, because a lot of times the easiest or fastest way for me to transmute energy that might get a little sticky or might get stuck to me is to just ask to release it or transmute it as fast as possible, because it's not yours. So once you identify that it's not yours, it's easy to say, great, thank you so much. Can you help me remove that or release that? Because I don't want to hold on to it. So there's something in here, like I think you've been identifying the fact that you are a bit of a sponge. And since we all humans transmute energy, I think you're starting to understand those people who were in your life who may have been a bit vampiric, and maybe not on purpose, but the people where you spend time with them and you leave feeling extraordinarily exhausted, or you have a phone conversation and you feel so tired afterwards. I think you've been filtering through some of these people in your life more recently in these last few years. And you're also just becoming a little bit more protective of your energy overall. I think you're learning that your empathy is a gift, right? It's a wonderful thing to have, to be able to hold love for others. But the difference is, can you hold love for others without self-sacrificing, right? And that comes with those making excuses. Like even if you do have somebody in your life who's a bit of a energy vampire, you may leave feeling exhausted and thinking, wow, this person never asks about me. Like they never ask how I'm doing. But then you'll justify it immediately. Well, they have a lot going on, and they give me other things in this relationship or friendship that matter too. So I think like you're starting to understand that you can have empathy without being a doormat. You can have empathy for others without joining them on their trauma ride, right? One of the hardest things when it comes to healing, and also one of the best things, is when you start to realize that how people react to you and how people treat you actually have very little to do with you. It has everything to do with them. And it's why you can't control an outcome of how someone is going to treat you. You can only control your reaction to it. So I think you may be learning, and you may have learned the hard way, that again, empathy is a really wonderful thing to have. And not everybody has it naturally. And by that, I think we all come in with it. I think we are all taught how to shut down. And then it takes a while for us to learn how to open back up again. So ultimately, I think you're learning that you can have empathy and you can look at somebody's situation and you can say, that is that person's journey. That is somebody, and I'm going to respect that person's journey, but I don't have to be on the journey with them, right? I don't need to be on that trauma train with them. Uh, so how people react to you and how people react to who you are as a person, the light that you're holding. One of the nicest releases is when you can be like, oh, like if somebody is mean to you. I use this a lot with work or just being out in the world, right? Somebody has an adverse reaction to me. My immediate response years ago would have been, oh my God, what did I do? I did something wrong. Like there's something wrong with me. I must have done something to that person for them to react that way. And now my reaction is very much like, oh, like I must have triggered something in them because I'm a big ass mirror. So like instead of me taking on whatever that is that they're dealing with, it's you being able to be like, oh, okay, that's kind of like their shit, not mine. And I'm going to respect that journey, but I'm not going to go on it with them. And I think that that's a healthy way to be. You don't have to be the one that is constantly holding space for others, especially if your cup is not full yourself. So part of the lesson that you've been going through is being able to fill your cup first so that you can fill others. Also, not feeling the obligation to have empathy 100% of the time for absolutely everyone. And having empathy is one thing, being able to hold space and loving someone unconditionally, taking on their trauma is a whole other thing. So I think you're starting to understand the discernment between those things. And that learn to ride the waves of life when faced with difficult times. I think for a lot of maybe your younger years and youth, you resisted the waves. And a lot of us do. I mean, you don't have to be a Pisces to resist the change that comes in. But it seems like anything that was depleting your energy, you're starting to understand that fighting against something or pushing against something is actually just delaying the movement forward. So this doors being open that were once closed, they were closed because they needed to be. Because again, you were not ready to receive whatever these gifts were. And it wasn't because like you didn't deserve them yet or something like that. It is because it wouldn't have meant what it will now. And it's not so much, like I think of parents sometimes when they're like, well, you have to go through the hard things so that you can appreciate the good things. This doesn't feel so much like that, but it does feel like if something had come in that you really wanted earlier in your life, it's not so much that you couldn't just like receive them. It's that you would maybe have tried to receive them, but not felt worthy of them. So this is all preparation for you to be moving in to your future. And this next year is not only about getting grounded in the sense that you can ground yourself immediately. It's about knowing when you're ungrounded. It's also knowing that in order for you to stay grounded, you have to be able to understand what's your energy and what's not. And this is what you've been working your way toward. So I think this next year is going to be all about integrating this information and being able to not only stay grounded and tap into that grounding energy, but to also still be living within your 5D space, right? We're kind of straddling that space right now between the 3D and 5D, where we are able to tap into our intuition, tap into our higher selves, but stay here in the 3D. And I think as Pisces, especially, that is something that has been a learning curve. So this next year is going to be very much about how to stay grounded and be in the 5D at the same time. And that is something that is the two fish, right? The two fish is literally one fish in the 3D realm, one fish in the body, and then one fish that's in the soul and in the 5D. So being able to be that balance between the two and knowing when to be in both places at once or when to lean more heavily into another place. That get grounded and connect with nature. This is also a reminder that if you are starting to feel like you cannot ground yourself, go touch a tree. I know that sounds funny. We're not quite in spring yet. I know it's not warm everywhere. If you can't take your shoes off and go stand in some grass or some sand or be near some water, then touch a tree. Trees will ground you immediately. Hug a tree if you want. I'm totally into hugging trees, and I love trees. I've talked to trees since I was a very small child. So that's another place or a way to ground yourself, especially if you're not near a natural body of water or it's too cold to be, walking around in the grass. So let's see where we're going. We got the source. We got postponement, awareness, receptivity. Wow. The creator, ordinariness. Interesting. Okay. Bottom of the deck is ripeness, which I'm just going to take that and put it here. Okay. So this here is showing me your journey thus far, and it's showing me like where we're at and where we're heading, right? This to me feels like kind of where we have been and where we are currently, and then where we're heading. So source is the very first card that comes in. This to me is a lot of the work that you've already done. This is connecting to your higher self, connecting to the energy around you, you just being aware of it, right? It's that kind of moment in time when you're healing where you start to understand the interconnectedness of you with all the energy that's around you. And also within this oneness, your individuality, and how important that part is. We may all be energetically connected, but we are also all different and all having different experiences. We are consciousness experiencing itself in real time, if time exists. You know what I mean? So I feel like you've come into this space already of understanding you're connected to everything. You also started to understand that you have the ability to create the life that you want. And it may not be out of controlling things, right? But it may be out of how you are. Like our power lies with how we are, how we treat ourselves, how we speak to ourselves, how we speak to others, how we treat others. That's our power. So I think you've learned that you can create a more peaceful life, a more exciting life, a more life, like bigger life full of joy, just based on how you interact with the energy that's around you every single day. So this is kind of where we are, what we've been working on, what you've been working on. And we came into this postponement. Now, this is what I think this card is talking about. The doors that were closed in the past. I think sometimes when postponement happens or when something doesn't unfold the way that you're hoping it will unfold, we immediately go into a space of lack, right? So it usually is like, well, I don't have this thing and I want this thing, but I don't have this thing. So the whole point being, oh, then you go down the spiral of, I never will get this thing. It's never going to happen for me. And, before you started healing, it would go probably into the space of like, oh, it's because I don't deserve it, or that thing doesn't want me back, or whatever it is. It comes down to you not feeling like you were ever meant to have it to begin with. One of the biggest shifts that's going to occur, and one of the hardest shifts, I think, and I think hard in kind of a good way, is you're so used to expecting things to go wrong or things to not work out. You're not quite sure what you're like, how to deal with things going right and things consistently going right. So this postponement is here because it needed to be here. Again, it's not so much that you didn't deserve these things to come into your life. It's that you wouldn't have been able to receive them in the right way because at the time you truly didn't believe you were worthy of them. So anything that's coming in now, these doors that were closed, again, it could be a person, a place, or thing, or job. Like it could be any of these things that you have been wanting and desiring for a long time. And then it also could be something that doesn't quite look the same, right? If we're talking about a relationship or a job, for a long time, it may have been a specific company you wanted to work for or a specific person you wanted to be with. And now this person is coming into your life, but this person may look a lot different, or the job may be different, or could be a different company, but it's like everything that you never knew you always wanted. It's everything that matches back to the original desire. It's just in a slightly different package. It could also be that actual job or that actual person that's coming back around again. And you are actually ready for it this time. And you're ready to not only receive it into your space, but you're ready to enjoy it, instead of not thinking that you deserve it or you're worthy and then self-sabotaging it, which is a lot of times when we're not ready for something, that's what will happen. Or it will be a pattern that repeats itself, right? Until we see the pattern and make a different choice. So as we go into this awareness, this is all of where you've been, right? You've gone through a big shift and change. You've gone through a lot of healing. You've been holding a higher frequency. And you've been kind of forced to wait a little bit. And it's not only just waiting for these things to come into your space when you're ready, it's also because you needed some time. Like you needed some time for yourself. You know, we aren't just talking about Pisces here, but Pisces can self sacrifice a lot and they can put everyone and everything before themselves to their detriment, especially other people's feelings and other people's comfort. That's also a very big one. Like Pisces can be very uncomfortable, so someone else is comfortable. This has been a big learning lesson for you to understand how to hold space for others and to give love and unconditional love and non-judgment and all of the things that Pisces can be really good at without, you know, also usurping your own happiness. So all of that you've been working on, this postponement was all on purpose. You needed time to understand how to put yourself first in a healthy way. And like we were all taught putting ourselves first is selfish, right? Like that was the biggest lie that anybody ever told us, is that putting yourself first is a selfish act. But like, again, without you, there's no one, right? So like you do always need to come first. And you can do that in a healthy way, in an unselfish way. But filling your cup first so you can fill others is one of the most important lessons that you've learned and that you might still be working a little bit on. This awareness, to me, this feels more like where you're at now. So this is, again, being able to look back in the past and all the work that you've done and have a very clear understanding of why things happened the way they did. Also, maybe even having a better understanding of like postponement, like, wow, maybe that didn't happen and I can understand why it didn't. And that also could be happening too. I mean, we are in Mercury retrograde and it is in Pisces. So it's funny because I feel like there are a lot of people who are like, so Pisces should be fine during this time. But it is very highly likely you're going to have people, places, and things come back around the block again. And some of these things might be things you want, people you want. And some of them may be people, is what I'm kind of picking up, that you dropped in the past, that you exited out of your life because of toxic behavior, because of toxic attachment, because of codependencies. And these are things that you have healed from or you're in the process of healing from. So it's not so much like, I hate being like the universe is testing you. But there may be some energy that's coming back around again to check in. And it's not so much to test you, but it may be a little bit about you understanding why this didn't work out to begin with, why whatever's coming in next is better suited for you. It might just be a little bit of a reminder that your energy has changed, your frequency has changed. It no longer aligns with this person, place, or thing. And it feels like you may have some things coming back around during this Mercury retrograde. And since Pisces is all about the emotional waters and all of the emotions, it could be something that you felt deep emotion for. So I think this awareness, and this might be a little bit why the universe is asking you to also get grounded as we move into this next year. It's also because it may not be just during Mercury retrograde that some of these older, or I hate to use hierarchy, but I think it's like the easiest way to understand as humans, lower frequencies, right? You may have them coming back around throughout the year. And this need to ground yourself is to be able to say, oh, okay, look, I understand why that left my life and I understand why it should still be not part of my life. And by doing that, that is what's going to help open these other doors. And again, I hate saying like the universe is testing you, but that also feels like it's the easiest way to understand the energy, right? I think, you know, when we have somebody come back around or something come back around that doesn't really match with us anymore, and we try to use our empathy and compassion to be like, well, let's give them another chance, or let's pull them back in, or hold that space for them, and let's just see. It always repeats, right? And that's a pattern. So you may have somebody come back around and you'll either see it right away, which again is kind of just that it doesn't feel the same anymore. It doesn't match up with you anymore. or you might not see it right away. You might have that hope, right? And Pisces are beautiful in the terms that they always hope. They're always hopeful. And they're always wanting people to find their own potential and see their own potential and move into that potential. So there may be some things that come up in this next year that is just kind of old energy coming back through. And I don't think you're going to. I just don't think you're going to allow it in, to be honest. I think if somebody reaches out to you and they're in the same energy they were in before, you're going to be like, thank you, but no, thank you. And you're going to keep moving. But that's why staying grounded during this time is going to be really important, because it is easy to slip into your empathy very quickly. But your dreams need a practical plan. It is all about the practicality, which I know that this is in Taurus. It says full moon in Taurus, but our sister sign is Virgo, right? And this lunar eclipse that's happening on March 3rd at 3:33 a.m., which is absolutely kind of the most Virgo thing I've ever heard. That it's like so aligned that it's happening on 3/3 at 3:33. Virgo is our sister sign, our opposite sign. And Virgo is the practical sign, right? We are, as Pisces, the dreamers, and Virgo, they're the doers. So honestly, like Virgo and Pisces, out of all of the sister signs, sometimes can work the best together because they can dream something and create it at the same time. So this would be kind of tapping into that opposite sign. And this may also be what the eclipse is bringing in for Pisces, is learning how to utilize our dreams and have our dreams, but ground ourselves and create the plan that goes with it. And this is, how do I take this idea that is in the 5D and put it into the 3D? The moment you start to actually focus on that, and again, we don't need to know all of it, right? You don't need to know A through Z of how you're going to get there. It's just taking that first step. And that's the most important thing, is to take the first step, because then the path appears, right? It's when you're just waiting and you're too afraid to make a wrong move that you make no move at all. And it's just like making a choice, right? Sometimes you will choose not to make a choice, and that is a choice. This is really just reminding you to take that first step, like get grounded, take that first step in the direction of what you're wanting, and all of a sudden that path is going to start to appear, and this practical plan is going to start to appear. It's basically being able to, again, be grounded, but also be in the 5D at the same time. It's being able to bring everything down that you've been wanting to create in your own space and in your own life. And it's at this higher frequency, which helps everyone around you just by you being in that frequency. But the practical plan is going to unfold. It's this fear, a little bit of fear that's, how do I bring this into reality, you know? And I think that's where you have to surrender the how. We don't know how. It may come back, or things may not appear exactly as you had envisioned. So again, releasing the control around how it's going to show up and how it's going to come to pass is part of this experience in this next year. I think that the Virgo energy is going to help us create that practical plan. So as we get more into the future energy, as these things start to unfold for you, again, the bottom of the deck was ripeness. And that's very much the energy that you're in right now. It's like you're very ready to move forward. What is holding you back from taking that first step is not being grounded. So it's why it feels a little bit scary to make a move in that direction, just I'll move. It's because there is fear surrounding the what if. It's the what if complex that we get into of, well, what if everything doesn't turn out the way that I was hoping? What will help with that is the getting grounded, because as that is, like, you would think, oh, well, worrying about something happening would be such a 3D energy, right? To me, that's more of a grounded energy. But the energy that I'm picking up and the message that I'm getting here is it's actually the opposite. A lot of this fear is actually coming through from this, not the higher frequency, but from your 5D space. And it's the ego is still living in that space too. So it's very highly likely it can be the ego kind of going back and forth with your higher self. But I think this full moon lunar eclipse in Virgo is going to crack a code for you. And it may just be this, right? Like it might be something that actually helps to ground your energy. And if you do some sort of ceremony or something for full moons, go for it. I think when it comes to anything that we do, there's no wrong way or right way to do any of it. Do what feels right for you. But I think if anything, that's a good day to touch a tree on March 3rd. If anything, if you can't take your shoes off and put your feet on the ground, go touch a tree that day. And do any other ceremony that you typically do with your full moon, but make part of that ceremony about being grounded, right? We have two cards of empathy and empaths here and highly sensitive. So there's something about being able to ground in this energy of Pisces. You have basically that Virgo energy coming in and you're finding a way to balance. Again, Virgo is like 3D energy. Pisces is like 5D energy. So you have both the grounded of the 3D and the 5D of the ethereal. So like there is something in this message about being able to live in both worlds. And Pisces is known for that. But I think Pisces tends to, before learning and healing, they tend to live in the two worlds, but it's fantasy and 3D. And then the 3D is super harsh, right? So Pisces can tend to lean very highly into the fantasy realm because the real world is way too harsh. This is how to blend these two spaces so that that harshness isn't there. It's about being able to be in the in-between, because people who can be in that in-between space always, they're the people who are helping hold this higher frequency. They're also helping others around them, others on the planet, do the same. And you don't have to be a Pisces to do that, right? But it just feels like there's something really important around that Pisces Virgo axis. Right now, the North Node is in Pisces and the South Node is in Virgo. And the North Node is more related to your destiny. And if you're not familiar with North and South nodes, it's the point in the sky between the Earth and the Sun and the Earth and the Moon. It's where all of the eclipses live. And your North Node placement and, where the North Node currently is, that tends to lean towards your destiny. It's where we're heading. It's where, we're learning and creating something new. The South Node is more of our past. It is more of our karmic space. So it's where we've already lived. It's the lessons we've already learned. And it can kind of be our comfort zone, even when it's a little uncomfortable. So right now, our North Node is in Pisces. Our South Node is in Virgo. We will be moving into Aquarius and Leo. Aquarius in the North Node, Leo in the South Node soon. It's why we just had that solar eclipse in Aquarius. So we've been feeling this, like everybody, regardless of if you're a Pisces sun or rising or moon, we've all been feeling this destiny point. And it's, it basically is taking the shadow side of Virgo, which can be the overgiver, right? Virgos are also nurturers, but they also can distract from their own happiness and what they need because they're people pleasers. Pisces can do the same thing. It's just Pisces tend to do it on an emotional level and Virgos tend to do it in an actionable level. So, right, it's how they can do things for others, where Pisces is like, how can I feel things for others? So we are kind of working through some of the shadow side of Virgo, of that overgiving and people pleasing and codependency. And we're moving more into the higher vibration of Pisces, which is more of that empathy and compassion, but learning how to stay grounded at the same time. So as we move into this future energy, we have receptivity, the creator, and ordinariness. Now, it's interesting, we have the source and the creator, which literally to me, like these cards always energetically feel really similar. The creator could be, if you're thinking like very specifically God. But to me, the source is kind of the universe and the creator is actually like us. It's the universe incarnated into a physical form. So this is like you figuring out your connection to the universe and then you seeing that you are the universe, right? So this receptivity, these two cards kind of go together. And this is very much, I think, the rest of this year. It is coming into that being open to receive because you start to become grounded. And when you start to become grounded, you have new doors that are going to be open and opening for you. And like it says, just in different form. So these things that you've been wanting, the more that you're going with the flow, the more that you are living not in between two worlds, but within two worlds, the more that you are understanding yourself and the less you're depleting your energy for anyone or anything. It's being able to hold a high frequency without your physical body becoming exhausted or having those high spikes. And that's where I feel like we've been having like this energy coming in, and we may be super energized, and then we're exhausted. And it's like these high highs and low lows. That is what's changing. So we're starting to kind of learn how to calibrate the energy that's coming in to be living in both worlds at the same time. But what that requires is for you not to fight it. It's for you to release. It's for you to ride the wave. It's for you to continue to be open and grounded, right? You can still have this empathy, but you can also have discernment around it. So this is kind of like where we're heading into this next year. Now, ordinariness, this is one of my favorite cards. Technically, this is the Eight of Pentacles if you're looking at the tarot, but that's not how this energy has ever felt to me, because the Eight of Pentacles is always about like mastering a skill and working on something. And to me, like this ordinariness card, it's funny, when I was younger, it was not my favorite card. I hated this card coming out because to me, like ordinariness was like the last thing I wanted to be. Like I have a Aquarius rising, so I'm always a little bit like left of center, right? But as I got older, the more I understood this energy and ordinariness, it's finding the beauty in everyday life, right? It is finding happiness in the simple things. And, you know, we live in this world that is constantly pulling us into all kinds of directions and distractions, and it's overwhelming. Our attention spans are pulled in multiple directions all day long. And this to me is that grounding. This to me is taking your shoes off and standing in the grass or standing in sand or letting water roll over your feet. You know, like this to me is a grounded card, and not only understanding, I know who I am, it's I know how to hold this energy for myself. I know how to hold this energy for others. I also know how to be here now. I know how to enjoy this life right now. So this is where we're heading this year. This is the end goal, right? You're going to have new and extraordinary things come into your life. You're going to have things that come in that you've been waiting for, and that you've probably given up on. And you may have some shocking things, and you may also have some people or positive things come back that you're like, no, thank you. I'm going to keep moving forward. But this is, by the time we get around to this time next year, I feel like this is where you're going to be at. You will have integrated the lessons of the past. You will understand why things were delayed. It's kind of like, it's funny because it's coming in like as several different things. It's not just people, right? But if we're to look at it like relationships, because again, we're human, it's one of the easiest things for us all to understand. It feels like, it's like when you meet someone and then you understand why nothing worked out before you met that person, because you would have never met that person if you had gone down a different path. It's like making every choice that you made and every choice that was made for you, it aligned you into a space for this thing or this person to come in, and it will make the wait worth it. It will make everything you went through to get to that point, to get to that person, to get to that job or experience or new place to live. It's like everything you went through to get there, worth it. You do it 100 times again if you knew that was the outcome. And that's what this feels like to me. You get to this point of, oh, actually, no, this all makes sense. And I'm so happy it happened this way, right? Because of what I get at the end. It makes the reward worth all of the sacrifice. So I'm going to pull a couple actual tarot cards. I just want to see some more information just on this next year and, kind of what we were talking about here. So let's see what comes out. Sometimes I like to pull cards. Sometimes I like the universe to pop those out for me. This is what I'm feeling now. We got the Fates, which is basically the Wheel of Fortune. Oh my God, Nine of Cups, beautiful. Hold on, we'll get there in just a second. Let me pull one more. That's like the bridging card. So what's the outcome card? Oh, interesting. Okay, we got, oh my God. Woo! We got the Lovers, we got the Tower, and we got the Devil, which, hold on, I don't know if you can see this. Here, we'll put him here. So interesting. Well, I'm gonna have to pull more cards on that. But this is kind of that overall energy of, again, there's something about relationships coming up. But again, that can be like familial relationships. That can be relationships with coworkers and friends. It's not always just a romantic relationship. But this energy that's coming in is very much all of the fated energy. Nine of Cups is like a wish come true. It's what you've been dreaming of and wishing for, sometimes a lifetime. It's basically destiny saying it's unfolding exactly as it's supposed to, when it's supposed to, with what's supposed to happen. So all of this energy is about basically the calm before the storm. And this is just a storm you actually want to be in, because this is a storm of your wishes coming true. This is a storm of happiness and joy and things that you've wanted to invite into your life for so long actually coming in. So Wheel of Fortune, or the Fates card, is very much about divine timing, which I know I said in a previous video. It is one of the most annoying things ever to have anyone be like, well, it's divine timing and you just have to wait for it. But again, hindsight's a bitch for a reason. You get to a certain point where you can look back and you understand all the connecting points and why things had to unfold the way that they did and the timing that they did. And then it makes sense. Oh, that's why that didn't work out, so this could work out. And we were talking about that a little bit earlier too, about something coming through, maybe in a slightly different form, or it could be the same thing coming back into new energy, which is also possible. But this is all about creating something that you've wanted for a long time. And it's something that I don't think, even with all the desire you've had, that you ever truly thought could happen. You've always been, I think, a little bit of afraid of something actually working out, right? Like sometimes it's really easy to wish and hope and dream and have a fantasy about something. And then when it shows up in your life, it scares the shit out of you, because you're like, I don't actually know what to do once it's here. Like, it's just been in my imagination. It's just been a dream for so long. I never thought it could actually be tangible. Well, honey, it's going to be tangible. Okay. You have something coming in, if not multiple things that you have been wanting for a long time. And it's going to come in, and I feel like it's going to shock you. We have the Lovers, the Tower, and the Devil. And I am going to pull one more card on this Devil, and the Tower, out of curiosity. But to me, like, the Devil's not necessarily a bad card, right? I think the Devil gets a bad rap sometimes in tarot. The Devil can also just be, it's not even just obsessiveness, but it can be desire, like a deep wanting or desire for something. And, the Lovers, that can be a soulmate, that can be something that you have desired for a long period of time, right? They call it also the Choice card, because it used to be called the Choice card in tarot. It's funny because the energy for the Lovers that I always get is not that. The energy that I typically will pick up, it is like something that is soul aligned, something that you were always meant to cross paths with during this lifetime. So this to me feels like your wish, your dream, what you've been wanting, it's coming in. And it is not only going to shock the shit out of you, but I think it's also going to show that you holding on to the dream or the fantasy, again, I think we look at fantasy as a bad thing, but fantasy is a great way for you to create something. Five of Wands, yeah. So Five of Wands can also be, it can be fighting for something or fighting others. But to me, this feels more like something that you may have given up on, but you never forgot about. You know what I mean? Like it's something that you've held on to with this Four of Pentacles. This is like, this can be about stability and foundation, but it also can be about holding on and holding back or onto something. This to me, that's why, like, whatever this is, it's a dream you've held for a long time. And it feels very much like it can be a lot of things, but I mean, even with the past readings I've been doing, it feels very much that it is about people, like actual relationships that we are having. So this is coming in, and it could be something that you met previously that was not in the right energy that is coming back around in new energy. It also could be something, again, something you never knew you always wanted, someone you never knew you always wanted until they come in. You have destiny followed by your wish or desire, your deepest wishes or desires, followed by the Lovers, which is like a soul connection or something that is soul aligned with you, followed by the Tower. This is the other thing. A lot of people are afraid of the Tower. The Tower will usually come in to shake things up. The Tower is basically, the Tower can come in several ways. I'd say when it comes in and it's difficult, it's because the universe has been trying to push you in a direction. And, like let's say you're in a situation and I feel like the universe will always come in and show you something, right? Whether you get a hit in your intuition about someone or something and you choose to ignore it or justify it. It's like the universe will come in and be like, are you ready to leave this thing behind or move forward or try something new? And most of us, change is hard, right? So a lot of us, we like, no, thanks. Like not quite yet. I'm not ready yet. And then, you'll have a little bit of time go past and then something will happen again. And it will be like another red flag or something that will come in that doesn't quite feel right for you. And the universe is basically asking, well, what about now? Like, are you ready now to make a different choice or to move forward or leave this behind? And we'll be like, no, I'm pretty comfortable, even though this is uncomfortable. Like, this is what I'm familiar with. This is a comfort zone. I'm just going to stay here. Well, the universe will keep throwing these things your way. And basically, I feel like asking you if you're ready to make this choice on your own. And at some point in time, after you've said no so many times and you're repeating a cycle so many times or a pattern so many times, the universe brings in a Tower. The universe will shove you and say, okay, well, you're not going to make this choice right now. So we need to keep you on your path. We need to keep you moving forward. So we're just going to shove you into something now. This can be something disruptive, but it doesn't always have to be bad, right? Towers in the past for you were probably really shitty. These were the ones that came in where it's like somebody was cheating on you, or you lost your job, you got kicked out of your housing. Like, this was not fun. This was things that put you into uncomfortable situations. That's not this Tower. I'm going to pull a card specifically on the Tower, but this Tower feels like it is the shakeup of a lifetime. It's the shakeup that you never believed could happen for you. Oh, wow. Yeah. So the two cards that came out for the Tower, the Hermit and the World. Now, the Hermit is honestly where you've been, right? This is all of the perspective that you've gained being in this more solitude space. And, like this postponement card, we talked a little bit about that. Like, you being postponed, things not kind of coming your way, but you needed that time and space to be able to heal and move through everything you need to go through and like go through all the patterns and have this experience. The Hermit is, it's a card that represents someone who has gone inside themselves and they've unlocked a lot of the secrets. They understand themselves better now than they ever have before. And it was something that they had to do for themselves and on their own. This is part of the journey that you've been on. So this Tower is part of that, right? Like, you experience this Hermit It's why you're in the place of receptivity that you've never been before. It's you're in a space where you can actually receive these things that you've never been able to receive before. The Tower is basically, you've gone through all of this. You are a wise sage now. Like, you've come out on the other end and you understand things in a way that you never did before. This Tower is actually not the Hermit, it's the World. The World is the very end of the Fool's journey, right? So you start as the Fool, you go through all the major arcana, and you end up at the World. The World is an ending and a new beginning. So this, to me, this Tower is about taking everything that you've learned and at the same time expecting the unexpected. And that unexpected thing being everything that you've ever desired or wanted actually happening, even if it looks different, or even if it comes at a different time, or it's not exactly what you thought it would be. It's actually better, right? So this Tower is about ending this last cycle, right? It's everything that you've been through in the last several years. It's all of the learning you've gone through. It's every loss that you've had. This is about that ending and a new beginning coming in. And when we have this, like, to me, this is about that part of you that has always held on to this dream. It's the part of you that never really allowed yourself to completely lose hope on it. Even when you wanted to, even when you're like, this is stupid. Like, why do I still want this person? Or why am I still thinking about this person? Or why do I think this person will ever even come back? You know, like, you get to that point where you are almost like tired of it because it's not showing up and it's not happening, and you don't want to be in that energy anymore of lack of it not being there. But there's always this piece of you that's hoped for it. So I'm going to pull one more just on the Devil card, and then I'm going to pull an Oracle card to kind of close out this session. I think this next year is going to be very powerful for you. I think that ultimately you are coming into yourself in a really beautiful way. You're learning how to alchemize not only the energy around you, but the energy of others. You're also learning how to alchemize your emotions, and you're learning how to have your feet on the ground and your head in the clouds. And that is a skill that most people do not have and cannot develop. It's something that I think is part of this collective. Whoever is watching this video, this is why you're here. Now, this situation, if this is a love and this is like an actual like love story, or you've been waiting for your person to come in, part of why this relationship is important, besides your personal experience and the experience that you'll have with this person, right? It's because when you have two high frequency people come together, you're creating a new frequency in love, right? It's a love frequency that only exists in spaces of not only high frequencies, but healthy relationships. So this may have taken a long time to come into your life, and you had to go through a whole lot to be ready for it. But so did this other person, place, or thing. It was not ready, or they were not ready either. So you have, we have all these people right now who are going to therapy, working on themselves, learning how to heal, healing themselves, healing past wounds, healing trauma, healing ancestral trauma. Like, you have so many, oh, that's funny. Bottom of the deck is Four of Swords, which is healing. So you have so many people who've been doing that on their own. And to me, the logical next step is to then have those people who are raising that vibration and raising that frequency meet each other, whether that's a romantic relationship or friendship or community that you build. It is about having people who are higher frequency in that love energy all come together, because that makes a bigger, more powerful frequency, right? So I know a lot of people talk about, soulmates and twin flames and all of the things that exist out there. And regardless of what you believe in, I do think that when you get a collective consciousness in physical form together that share high frequency or vibrational patterns, you have the ability to impact not just everyone that's within your vicinity around you, but much larger collections of people and the planet. So I wanted one final card because I wanted to know exactly what this Devil had to do with. And I got the Knight of Cups, which In this deck, this is one of my favorite artists. She's from LA. This is called the Dream Keepers Tarot, by the way. But I wanted to just hit the nail on the head of being like, the devil is not a bad card here. The devil is the Knight of Cups. This is that belief that someone could come in and change your life. From this actual card, you see there's someone who is almost like a ghost. They're just not quite here all the way. And she is bringing this cup of love and life to this person to awaken them. And to me, this is what the wish has been. And again, it could totally be something else. It could be a job or whatever, but this feels very much like this might be more romantic or even soulmate, like bringing more people that are of your frequency into your space to hold space for you, to support you as you do for them. But this is about the dream you've had this entire time of a connection or of a community. It's coming in. And this devil card is more about the obsession over knowing that this was for you, knowing that this would always be for you. And even though you may not have been patient the whole time, it's coming for you now. And that holding on to that dream, idea, or hope, that fighting for it. So every time you tried to give up, there was still a part of you that was like, but what if? And instead of what if it doesn't work out, it's, but what if it does, right? So let's go ahead and get an oracle card for you and we can close this out. Let's see. Okay, we will pull from the Starseed Oracle. I think just because a lot of the energy that I get from at least the people who are watching this reading, it's a lot of people that have been on a pretty long spiritual or healing journey. So let's see what is in here for you. We'll get a final message. Okay, that's too many. Okay. There's 3, but we'll take them. Okay. We got You Got the Love, Hadarian Energy, Codependency, and Boundaries. We were talking a lot about that. We also got Water Your Garden, Nourishment, Body Care, Tenderness, Rest. And that's a little bit of the grounding too, right? You see the tree? Go touch a tree. And then we also got We the Hathers, Deep Love, Mother's Milk, Birth as a Portal. So I'm not going to read all of these because honestly, the one that's sticking out the most to me is the You've Got the Love. This Deep Love, Mother's Milk, Birth as a Portal. This to me has more to do with the rebirth that has already occurred. It's a reminder of you to also like acknowledge how far you've come. This rebirth, this next like birthing of your life, I guess we could say that. The next birthing of your life has to do with this connection or this wish or dream coming into your space. It's basically, with this World card, it's not only a new beginning, it's a completely new experience, something you've never experienced before. So it's a rebirth in a way of you becoming not only who you are now, but who you've always meant to be, and whatever connecting point needed to be a part of that story. And then the Water Your Garden is exactly what we've kind of talked about, making sure you're filling your cup, making sure you have discernment around your empathy and who you're giving your time and space to. And then again, just because there's so much like nature in this card, I would say it's also a reminder for that get grounded. Like you have to be in this space to be able to receive. But let's read the You Got the Love, because again, that has codependency and boundaries in it, which, you know, not everyone is good at boundaries in general. And I don't want to harp on a Pisces, but I think boundaries may be the hardest for Pisces. And it's, again, because of all of the empathy, right? There's so much understanding there. And I think creating boundaries is one of the tougher lessons that we have to experience. So this says, you got the love. The Hadarians are believed to be the beacons of pure divine unconditional love, who see love in all people and situations. As a result, they can find it hard to have boundaried, interdependent, healthy relationships because they only see the unconditional nature of those they meet. The lovers of the cosmos, they dive in fast. They're here to learn how to love while in a separate body, to learn to love self first and then establish healthy relationships with others, to remember that love they seek is already within them, that they truly do have the love all on their own. The message of this card is to review the ways you may need to establish healthier boundaries. Perhaps you're in a codependent relationship in which you may be losing your sense of self. It's common for starseeds to dive deep into relationships, particularly with those who feel safe and familiar at a soul level. Perhaps you're in a relationship in which you give more than you receive, or perhaps there's a certain vitality to it. Oh my God, yes, vitality to it. And you're always unsure where you stand. This card is a sign to do a relationship review and see what energetic agreements you've made consciously or unconsciously, to acknowledge if there are relationships in which you feel anxious or powerless, in which you don't feel like it's safe to relax and just be you, to assess if there are places of inadequacy that you've used in a relationship to soothe and cover up. Do you lose yourself in relationships? If so, how? How can you develop a deeper love for yourself? Okay, so forgive me, because obviously Mercury retrograde, so communication problems. So I think that is going to be the biggest shift in having this dream or this wish come through, is that it is a healthy version of what you had in the past. So you may have had a soul connection in the past that did not, feel good or was not healthy or was very codependent. But that was also like what you both needed to experience with one another. That was why you were in each other's lives. This soul connection or whatever is coming in for you, it's going to feel different because it feels safe and healthy. So Pisces or Pisces placements, or anyone who has Pisces in their chart, or anyone who just decided to listen to this entire video and get here now. You are moving forward in space and time to connect the heaven and the earth together, to be a central point for that energetic connection, not just for yourself, but for others. This is you lighting the path and showing the way for others. And sometimes you don't even need to talk about it, right? Sometimes it's just you being you and the energy that surrounds you. So I want to thank you for your time. Again, if you found me, you're new, thank you for sharing your energy with me. As I said in the beginning, if you would like, a monthly reading where we tap into that specific astrological sign for the season, I can do that. If you guys are interested in me doing, readings from Aries all the way to Pisces, let me know. I'm very open to what you guys are all wanting and thinking. Other than that, I kind of follow my intuition on, what I'm doing every time I come on here. I will be doing another reading for the full moon lunar eclipse in Virgo, which I will hopefully be able to get out by, I guess that's Tuesday. So remember, 3/3 at 3:33 a.m., the most Virgo thing in the world. So I just want to remind you all that you matter and everything you do every day matters. Your power lies in who you are and how you show up in the world. And don't be afraid to shine. This is why we're here. It is to love, right? It is to hold a high frequency of love for this planet so that we can continue to evolve and we can continue to move past the old ways, this death rattle we're all experiencing right now of the old ways, and we can move into the new, this new higher frequency where we lead with love, not with fear. So take care. I will see you next time. And thanks again for sharing your energy with me. Goodbye.